Oh, no.
Good? Okay.
Test. There you go. Thank you.
Everybody ready? Yes. Okay. I call to order this meeting of the Hamilton-Wenham Regional School Committee on Thursday, March 7th at 7 p.m. I invite everyone to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag.
Thank you. To remind everybody that this meeting is being recorded and live streamed. Just pulling up the agenda. Okay, so we'll start with citizen comments. Do we have anyone in the room who would like to comment? Just come on up. Just as a reminder.
Timer.
Yes, we need a timer, please. Just as a reminder, before you start, if you can share your name and address, and we'll have a 3-minute timer going. And can you give a...
Jackie, is that mic
Do you
light
want
on?
the time or do you
It's
want
on, yeah. I don't know if
Okay.
it's supposed to be moved up.
Yeah, you can move it up if you want. Yeah, it's just it's a short
Or
mic.
not.
And we'll give
It's
a
gonna stay here.
30-second warning, Julia.
Good here.
Yeah, 30, okay. Should go?
Welcome.
Hi.
Uh-oh.
Is that all set?
I think, did that microphone just get... Oh, it's just...
No,
like
it's
a
still on. I
shorter-
think that's for the board.
Okay.
Okay. Good evening. Jackie Marr, 142 Railroad Avenue, Hamilton, Massachusetts. Also Miles River Middle School and Union Vice President. So good evening, school committee and Hamilton-Wenham community. The union is here tonight to express our frustration on the current negotiations for our office personnel, a unit of 11 members. The union's latest counter reflects flexibility, bargaining, and good faith, and we encourage you to ratify the agreement in our next negotiations meeting on March 18th. The union has been continually candid and amenable to adjustment throughout the bargaining process. We've come down almost $7,000 in market rate adjustments and degree credit proposals. And most importantly, our recent counter reflects a compromise from our original proposal with a 2% reduction in our COLA request. This is a fair and just agreement for office personnel, and after 6 meetings over 5 months, it is time to finalize our agreement and move on to our teachers unit. As a teacher at Miles River, I also have to speak to the value that our office personnel brings to our school. Our office staff is the perfect blend of competency, efficiency, and compassion. This applies to the way they greet our students in the morning, many of whom are late due to anxiety and an inability to get to school, and how they interact with the staff during the day. It would be difficult to find a single staff member at Miles River that has not gone into the office for a mental health break with a chat with one of our office personnel. In addition, they are the professional faces our parents and our special education advocates meet when they first enter the building. I'll be honest, I don't know the full scope of what they do. But if you are looking for an answer about logistics, scheduling, supplies, visitors, field trips, they either know it or will find out immediately. They are the true heart of the school, and they ensure the day-to-day is running smoothly. They offer a sense of community, posting staff Christmas cards, writing riddles on daily attendance, bringing in flowers for the front desk, or baking for the staff during holidays. Our full-time secretary has dedicated her career to Hamilton-Wenham. Her tenure has seen 8 superintendents and 6 principals. Her institutional knowledge is invaluable. Anytime a new administration enters, they know they have a resource they can rely on. In fact, everyone in the Hamilton-Wenham community relies on these individuals in some capacity. I can't imagine why we would refuse to invest in their future in our schools.
Perfect.
Oh, nailed it.
Wow. That was amazing. Perfect timing.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Bridget O'Donnell. I live at 105 Main Street in Wenham. I'm the instructional coach at Winthrop Elementary School. As you know, our office personnel play a crucial role in our district. They are the first impression of our schools and are dedicated to supporting staff, administrators, students, and families. Every day, they perform a multitude of tasks that go often above and beyond their job description, from ensuring that the kindergartner that arrived late makes it safely down to their classroom while carrying their lunch and talking to them all the way down the hall, to keeping teachers informed of many last-minute, end-of-the-day plans that parents phone in at the end, and teachers are, Donna always makes sure that everybody knows where they're going at the end of the day so they're safe. It is truly impossible, as Jackie was saying, to express all that they do to keep our district running. They are truly irreplaceable. I urge you to support the office personnel contract. It is essential that their safety concerns and requests for pay increases are not only heard, but also respected. I firmly stand with our office personnel, and I kindly ask for the school committee's support, ensuring that they are valued and protected. Thank you for considering this important matter.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Maria Mahart. I live at 14 Chestnut Street in Hamilton. Ann Wenham. The town line actually goes right through my living room. I am a veteran teacher, but a new employee to the district. I'm a 30-year resident of these towns, but just now new coming to your meetings. So I come as a tax-paying resident, as the parent of 2 alumni of this school district, and now one of your hardworking teachers for the disabled children of our community. And I'm laying before you my ardent hopes for an agreement that confirms what I think we all agree on, that our office personnel are the gatekeepers. They are the lifeblood of our schools. And that each of you and all of us are empowered to get the right thing done. It is never wrong, it is never wrong to take action that uplifts people who have less than what we have. And I just know that the right outcome can be achieved and that you have it in you to be the ones to bring it about, because the gap between us is not so wide. I had an interesting encounter with a student on Monday. She asked me, Ms. Mahart, what's with all the shirts you're all wearing? And I tried to be very objective and explain to her what the shirts are all about. We were all wearing our Stronger Together shirts. And I explained in the simplest but most honest way that I could that we are working really hard together, a lot of adults in the community, to figure out what it will be like to work in the offices of our schools. And she said, you mean like Miss Curran? And I said, yeah, like Miss Curran. And she said, what about Miss Peterson? And I said, yeah, like Miss Peterson. And she said, well, I hope you win. I said, well, you know, it's not really about winning. It's about just making sure that the right thing gets done. And I believe in my heart of hearts that this is the right thing. There's no risk to any of you the next time we're together to get a tentative agreement signed, and everybody's gonna feel good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Nora Burnett, and I work at the high school. I'm also a union rep. So earlier, when Jackie was talking about our amazing staff, she talked about how they were the perfect blend of competency, efficiency, and compassion. They're also a wonderful blend of loyalty. They know this school, they know the staff, they know the administration, and they know the students. They are, as people have said, the first ones to greet them in the morning, the first smile that many of them see, especially those who maybe are a little late to school. They need that support, and they need that familiar face. They know the job, they love the job, and they work so hard at the job, always above and beyond. I can't tell you how many times they have helped me out in so many different ways. They've helped me bring speakers to the school, including one of the original Little Rock 9. that I could not have done that without the help of Lisa Heights. They just offer so much, and we just want to make sure they understand how much they are appreciated, not just how much they are needed, but how much they are recognized and appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Chantal Clark. I teach at Winthrop School. I didn't prepare a speech, but I just wanted to say that I've been teaching here for 20 years plus, and I've known two school secretaries, Adelaide Laporto and Donna Brockenbaugh. And I have to say that couldn't probably on one hand list the principals that I have seen come through Winthrop School. I just want to say our school could not be run, could not function. When Donna's out, we're like, what? Without the support that she gives teachers, students, and parents. I mean, I know at the elementary school level, parents are calling all the time. We've got lots of moving parts. We have lots of programs at our school. She is worth her weight in, well, she's kind of small. She's worth a lot more than that. And we couldn't pay her what she's worth, but let's get close.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? Come on up.
Hi, I'm Kathy O'Shea, and I teach here at Bucher School. Like Chantal, I did not prepare a speech. I echo what everybody said before me. But to build upon what Chantal was just saying, I too have been in this district for a long time, 36 years. I've traveled to all 3 elementary schools, and I may have had 4 secretaries in that, office personnel, in that amount of time. And I think to say that they are the bones of our schools is an understatement. I think to say that they are the ones who make the first impression, and we know first impression is everything, they are the ones who make the first impression. Probably shouldn't say this, but when we interview, usually if you're waiting for an interview, you're talking to the secretary. So at the end of the interviews, we always want to know from the office personnel, what did you think? Like, this is what we thought, because they read people. They want people who are going to come in the school and be part of the community that they have helped create. We had a situation this year where Chris Petro left. Chris Petro had this school running like clockwork. If we needed anything, Chris Petro was 5 steps ahead of us. When Chris left and Gloria came into Bucher School, there was no list of how to do. There was no one working with her to take the place of what Chris had created to make Bucher the best it could be. I know, just because I'm here, and Gloria came in early. I think it was Wednesday mornings, and she would be on the computer with Donna at Cutler School, who was helping her to make sure that this school continued to run smoothly, that kids were coming in late, got those hugs and smiles and reassurance, and walks down the hall to their classroom. I cannot encourage you enough to please support them. We're talking about 11 positions right now. They are worth the investment. I encourage you to step up and show them that they're worth investing in, because if not, we're going to lose them, and we're going to have to keep retraining, which is really them training themselves, to keep this going. Hamilton Wenham is a great, great district, and it's because of them. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any more comments? Okay. Anybody on Zoom?
Nobody on Zoom.
All right. I appreciate everyone coming and sharing their thoughts. We're going to move on to the review of the school committee protocols. Julia, I think I sent that to you.
Yep. As elected members of the Hamilton Wenham Regional School Committee, We, including the superintendent, accept the high honor and trust that has been placed in us to ensure that the students of the district receive the best education possible. To that end, we hereby commit to the following in conduct of our business. Protocol 8. School committee members will vote according to their convictions, will avoid bias, and will uphold and support the decisions of the majority of the committee once a decision has been made. Positions will not be used for personal or partisan gain.
Thank you. Next, I think, Jen, you have the school committee mission statement.
The Hamilton Wenham Regional School Committee will lead and inspire a district that inspires all students to realize their fullest potential and feel a powerful sense of individual and collective belonging.
Thank you. Up next is the consent agenda. Does anybody have anything they want to hold? I have one thing. I just want to hold the Model UN field trip. I just have one question. Make a motion, please.
I move that the Hamilton Wenham Regional School District accept the consent agenda as written, pulling aside the, sorry, which one was it?
The Model UN
Model
field trip.
UN for further discussion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Jen. All in favor? And that is a unanimous of 6 members present.
6.
6? Yes, not unanimous. Thank you.
It is unanimous of 6.
Unanimous of the 6 members present, and sorry,
Was unanimous?
of the 6 members.
Okay,
present,
I thought you changed it. I was like, wait a minute.
yeah. And the consent agenda passes with the exception of the Model UN field trip. The only question I had was in the permission slip, there's 2 hotels listed. I'm guessing it's just like a copy and paste error or like reusing the form. But I just wanted to clarify.
So it takes place in 2 places. They're
It does,
staying
okay.
in one hotel.
Okay.
And they compete in the other, it's diagonally across the street, I think.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure, because one of the hotels, I think, is Cambridge and one is Boston.
Yeah, they actually stay at the Cambridge
Okay.
Marriott, and then they compete at the Westin Copley.
Okay, sorry.
It's like a 5-minute walk.
Perfect, thank you. All right, so we just need one more motion for that.
I move that the Hamilton Wenham Regional School District accept the Model UN?
Yep.
Model UN exhibit as presented.
Second.
Second by Julia, and all in favor, passing. Unanimous, passes of the 6 members present, and that item passes. Okay. I just also always want to note to say thank you to the Friends and Boosters groups for the donations that are within the consent agenda. Good stuff in there. Okay, next is new business with the FY25 budget and annual report.
Thank you. Each year, when we finish our budget process, we meaning Vinnie, Janelle, and Jen Caulfield, myself, we put on kind of our heads together to get this budget book. And each year, we go through the process of meeting with the towns, and they kind of give us feedback for the things that they're looking for. This year's budget book has all the stuff that we've had in the past, plus some. And if you breeze through it, it's really a compilation of really an entire look at the entire school district. So when you look at this, you know where the money is, what schools it in, where it's getting allocated to. We've had each of the principals and budget holders write about their own sections and where things are, what things are happening in their schools and how the finances impact that. And then as you get to the end, there are a lot more statistical things like, AP scores and some comparatives like SAT scores, average ACT scores, then the rolling averages across 5 years, I believe now, right? Yeah. And then looking at it through different lenses as the towns have requested. You know, I have to say that this is I don't know how many times we went through this. I think we all went through it 8 or 9 times over the last 2 weeks. So it is a long, drawn-out process that starts usually in mid-January and works its way through till now. So we have it available. One of the other pieces that we had to add to this that we've never had before was the accounting of the stabilization fund. That's a requirement of the law. We have to publicly account for the use of the stabilization fund. So we added that to this book. So it's a public document. It'll be on our site. It'll be presented. It'll be available at town meeting. It'll be sent out to all of the select board, finance boards and everything. And I just think it's important for people to see the things like the stabilization fund. We haven't spent anything yet, but as we do, we'll list those things in each year so that we have an accounting that we can present to the towns. We also added OPEB, the OPEB balance, which is in excess of $2 million, and we're going to bump that up even more this year. So we should be one of the communities who's further ahead, I believe, than most of the communities around here. A quick dipstick of the communities around here shows that we're making much more progress on our OPEB fund. So kudos to Vinny for that, for keeping that moving forward. But certainly want to thank Jen Caulfield, Janelle Powers, Vinny for their work, their time, reading it over and over and over and over and making sure it's all right. So I'll take any questions if anybody has any.
I have a question. I
More
can
a
ask after.
comment, and I'm trying to find the pages. The pie charts on pages 15, 16, I think those were the 2 big ones. I think they look great. That writing is really, really tiny and could be a little bigger.
Yeah.
But other than that, I thought it looked really good, Vinny.
Yeah, and this is one of the things we tried to add that the towns require. I don't know if you remember, they requested during our quintuple meeting, like,
Yeah.
can we see more charts? So we got more charts, but we can see if we can figure that out. I know that whole chart comes as one piece, so we may have to just add in. We can fix it. We'll fix it. I agree.
I can put it together in Excel so you can change the font.
Oh, no, we can do it.
Okay.
Yeah, we can do it. Yep.
I just have a quick question. So all of this we've seen all of this data except for the capital stabilization fund data? Because I was looking at it and I felt like I was going through agendas and I was seeing we had already
Probably
gone through
OPEB
all of
too.
these numbers.
OPEB's new this year.
Okay.
Stabilization fund's new.
Okay. Because I was thinking that I wasn't as familiar with those. All right, but it looks great to me.
Yeah,
It's-
the enrollment charts are a little bit different. We wanted a chart.
Well,
so
yeah.
we added a chart. I mean, it doesn't show much, but that's what they
Yep.
were requesting. But we have
No, it looks great.
just a few more pieces of information. I think, the towns are trying to say, okay, what do we get for our money? Well, here it is. This really covers everything that's going on, plus some of the statistics that are being driven with the finances.
This is great. And this is meant to distribute to the public,
Yeah.
to distribute to.
Yep. We'll
Board-
start
the
sending it out
select
tomorrow.
boards.
Tomorrow we'll send it out to all the boards and then post it on the website, and then it'll be available. We'll have a few copies available at town meeting. We don't make 400 of them because they generally just end up
Right.
wasted paper, so. But digital copies are available on the site.
Thank you.
Can we make some of the paper copies available at places like the senior center and places where people
Yeah.
don't have maybe the library?
Yeah,
That's a great
absolutely.
idea.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, it's usually available at town halls because we send it to all the members of town hall, the town managers, town administrators. But yeah, we can do the library and the,
I was just thinking of places people might go who
Yeah.
don't have internet access or routine
Absolutely.
internet access.
absolutely.
Any other questions, comments? Okay.
You just need a vote to
Need
approve
to
it.
vote on this one? Okay.
Yep.
I move the Hamilton Wenham Regional School District approve the FY25 budget annual report as presented.
Second.
Second by Jen. Any discussion? I think we did that, sort of. All in favor? And It's unanimous of the 6 members present, and that passes. The next item on the agenda is under new business, security cameras.
To me, again.
It's you.
Thank you. As you know, we've spent some time and quite a bit of money over the past year, 18 months or so, getting our security cameras up to date, placed in the right places, positioned right, working, functioning properly. And we're trying to now figure out different ways that we can take advantage of the technologies we have. Our technologies are fairly straightforward where, believe it or not, on a snow day, I am looking at the cameras around the buildings to see, what's happening and what's going on, but see how much snow's on the ground. But the camera systems are really, once everybody leaves, there's nobody watching, if you will. They're recording, they all record. We record and save all of the data from the cameras for 30 days, and then it self-deletes. And so it has been useful for sign thefts and damage at schools and things like that. So we're trying to, in conversation with the Hamilton Police Department, they are using the same group that we use to install cameras. In fact, some of our technologies are actually based out of the police building that our tech people manage some of the servers over there. So as part of the conversation that we had in safety and continuing to keep connections with our first responders, they have requested to have access to our outside of the building cameras, so that whomever's at the desk, they would have the screen in front of them and they could monitor them outside of school hours. And then in an emergency, shooter, I'll use that as an example, as a shooter at a school, they would then have access, we could grant them access to the inside cameras so that they could have another spot to manage from, if you will, the scene. So that's what this request is for. There's, we do have a policy. I have the request letter from Lieutenant Trepanier. I have talked to him at length. He and I have talked about this probably for the whole last 2 years to try to really improve our securities at our facilities, and then just wanted to show give a copy of our policy, where they would not be keeping the recordings, we keep them. They would actually just see what's live. So if they needed, they said, oh, we just saw 5 cars come in and blah, blah, blah. They could not go back in time. They would need us still to go back to the recording. So it's really just kind of them live and keeping an eye on it. They have they've installed a number of cameras around town, including around some of the buildings in town. And this is a good opportunity, I think, while that company's finishing up, to just make a direct connect. It's not going to cost us anything. And I think it's an important kind of improvement to our security in the facilities, outside of the facilities, I should say.
Question. Do the camera systems incorporate motion detection as well, or is it just pure recording?
Yes, yeah, they're basically always on, if you will, but that as soon as, like if you pull up, where's the camera? Out here, there's a camera right outside here. It's on right now, and if I pulled it up, it'd be on, it's recording real time, but it also tracks on the bottom any motion. So we can get to a point in time where we can say, oh, here, there was motion at 1 a.m. here, and we could see what it was. It could be, it could be a rodent, but it could also be.
So and the police would see that.
Yep.
So okay, great.
They would see it live. They just couldn't go back in time. But they could note it and say, hey, at 1 a.m. we saw, this is what we saw, or, they generally call me if there's an issue. Sometimes at 1 a.m. Sometimes.
I got
Yeah.
2 questions for you. One, does this change data security around access to the cameras in any way?
No, because they don't store it. We store it all. So all of the access, they can see live, but they're not recording. So they don't have any access to that. Our databases are separate from that. What was the second part?
I haven't gotten to the second
okay,
part
okay.
yet. The second part is more of a comment.
Yeah.
I think that I very much support this. I think the way this goes wrong is if it begins to increase the criminalization of behavior on campuses.
Yeah.
and we get contacts in, urgent or emergent fashions between students and police officers that normally wouldn't happen. And so I think that it's important to know that that's a possibility and track if that is occurring.
Absolutely.
Because I do think that that's the way that this could prevent a lot of tragedies, that it could also lead to some.
Yeah.
And that's concerning to me.
Yeah, no, that was actually the point I was going to bring up myself, but you said it much more eloquently than I would have, so.
Yeah, the issue with kind of the visualization is also they combine with night patrols several times a night through each of the schools. So the nice part is somebody at the desk could say, hey, go check this out, rather than saying something's happening. Go, there's something wrong. Send the whole force. But
Yeah.
I think the beauty of that is they can now more easily direct it. So now it's random. Like somebody could go through at 11 o'clock, the high school, middle school complex all the way around, no problem. Go back at 2 and something had already happened. So right now it's just chance if they sometimes they run into an open door, open something, and so it works out well. But sometimes they miss. It's happened in the past where they've missed kids by sometimes minutes, where they've come and done some damage or taken something or driven across one of the fields or something like that. So yeah, it's definitely something we would keep an eye on. And I think the nice thing is they don't have access to the recording, so they're not like sitting there playing it back. And it's really an opportunity for us to say, great that you're keeping an eye on it outside of school, but you to let us know right away if something happens. And I do have a really good relationship with both departments, and both chiefs call me whenever there's an issue, even if it's in the middle of the night. So I think that helps me to feel a little bit better about the part that you're talking about.
Yeah, the examples that you gave, I think having students doing things that are inappropriate or sometimes damaging, and then having that be separate from a encounter with a police officer is insulating in terms of not allowing there to be a situation that gets inadvertently out of hand.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that this is the wrong way. Like I said, I can see 100 different ways in which it could benefit students. But that is something that I think that if we track it and are able to say that that's not something that's occurring, then that's excellent.
Yeah, and we can certainly say, let's track it and come back in 6 months and say, okay, what's happening? Where things, have we learned anything? Has anything changed? So it may make sense to do that, to say, okay, in what month is this? In, September, let's say, okay, we've had 6 months of opportunity to work with it, work through it.
Any other questions? We have a motion, please.
I move that the Hamilton Wenham Regional School District approve the, what would this be?
Proposal?
Request to connect our cameras.
Request to attach the security cameras with the town police departments as written in the agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Jen. All in favor? And that's unanimous of the 6 members present, and that item passes. Thank you. Okay,
Just got to do a computer switch here.
computer switch happening. Next up is the FY24 Q2 financial forecast with Vinny,
Get comfortable.
newscaster.
Okay, thanks for letting me present to you tonight. We are here to review the FY24 year-end financial forecast as of quarter 2 ending December 31st, 2023. So for tonight, in addition to reviewing our financial forecast, I am proposing a vote on the prepayment of out-of-district special ed tuitions. In addition, we are going to review kind of the plan going forward for quarter 3, and then last, vote on a few budget transfer requests that we've included in the presentation tonight. So while conducting the year-end forecast, incorporated here, I am predicting that on June 30th, I have estimated that we will end the year with a positive balance of roughly 1.3 million. Presented here is the breakout by DESI category. Just like to point out, I am predicting 2 DESI categories will end in a deficit at this current time. It's our instructional materials and equipment and our operations and maintenance. There is a third item on here, but I really don't think that third item will end the year in a deficit. It is currently just scheduled to be $100. I don't think that will actually come to fruition at the end of the year. It really is just those first 2. This is that same chart broken out by school or location, that same 1.3 million. So while conducting the year-end forecast, there was a few major budget drivers that I'd like to go over before we dive into a little bit more into the detail. The very first thing that was noticeable to me was our health insurance residual balance. This really comes from about 3 different sources. The first one is the health insurance premium. For those of you who have seen this year over year, every year our health insurance goes up a little bit. During the budget season, I work with our insurance broker and meet with Harvard Pilgrim, our insurance provider, and get a rough idea of what they think that increase might be year over year. For the FY24 budget cycle, we had incorporated a premium rate increase of 7.5%. As the year passed, I started negotiating with Harvard Pilgrim, and I was able to reduce that to 4.9%. That ultimately resulted in savings of about $115,000, which is a pretty substantial amount of money based on those negotiations. In addition to that, we have our enrollment that plays a major portion, that plays a huge role in our health insurance costs year over year. Historically, we always anticipate a little bit of an uptick in utilization. That means we anticipate that 1 or 2 more employees will enroll in our health insurance year over year. What we found is that it's the exact opposite that's happening. We're seeing less people enroll year over year. And then third, while building the FY24 budget, or any budget for that matter, if there are any vacant positions while we build the budget, we usually incorporate the full cost of health insurance for that vacant position. Some of those positions are still vacant now, so not only do we have their salary savings, we also have some health insurance savings as well. So in addition to those health insurance premiums, as I just mentioned, we still have some vacant positions. It's not as much as it has been in prior years, but currently we are running a $357,000 surplus because of these vacant positions across the district. Next relates to our transportation. This comes from 2 different areas, $64,000 from our general transportation and $154,000 from our out-of-district, which I'll get into a little bit more detail later in the presentation. In addition to that $154,000 in out-of-district transportation, we are anticipating a residual balance of $186,000 for the out-of-district tuition placements. In addition, as you heard me talk about in the 25 budget cycle, there is turnover every year. So that's people we budgeted a certain amount for their salary. For whatever reason, they were either asked not to come back the next year, or they did not return under their own decision. That has resulted in about another $110,000 in savings year over year. Some of these savings are being offset by overages. The two first ones listed here relate to our maintenance department. The very first one is a projected overage in our custodian and maintenance supplies. We've seen an uptick in the cost of these supplies year over year. So currently we are just about at a break-even point, but it is only January. There still will be a big supply order placed in April. So I'm anticipating that by year end, we will be in a minor deficit of $25,000. In addition, just like we've seen in our own houses, our utility costs have skyrocketed this year. I will admit this is a high projection. I am not a utility usage expert. I just did a simple calculation. What is our run rate so far this year? And what did we use this time last year? And kind of projected that out for the next 6 months. I will admit it's probably going to end a little bit lower than what I have here, but just to give us coverage, I included kind of the high end of my projection. In addition, just like we've seen year over year, we are requesting to purchase additional student and staff devices this year. This is something we've kind of done every single year for the past 3 or 4 years. When we see kind of higher balances left over in our health insurance, where we know that we budget high, when we see those savings during the year, we always come to you guys and ask for a transfer during this time of year to help pay for some of those technology devices that we purposely kind of budget low during the budget cycle. And then last, the big thing I noticed was the new ESP contract. FY25 represents the first year of the new contract. We did not know what these numbers were going to be when we built FY24. So currently we're running a deficit of just over $200,000 as it relates to the new ESP contract. So I'm going to go a little bit more deeper into the numbers. One thing I wanted to point out to everyone, hopefully this works for me. I attempted to do it before. This slide right here is a slide I took directly out of our FY25 final budget presentation. I just kind of zoomed in here. This item in green represents an additional $55,000 request for the Bucher Elementary School to help pay for the 1.0 ESL teacher. I'm going to attempt to back up and move forward 2 slides. You'll notice on the very bottom of this slide is that same exact number, just the opposite direction. So most of the things we talked about during the 25 budget cycle were a result of things that happened during FY24. So in FY24, we moved this position from the central office DAC to Bucher. So for the 25 budget, we asked for additional $55,000 to cover it. The exact reverse happens in FY24. We're seeing a deficit of $55,000 because we made that move in FY24. So a lot of the items that you're going to see in detail, we've already discussed during the FY25 budget cycle. So some of the things I might not go into detail because we've already talked about them many times already, but of course stop me if there are any questions as it relates to them. But I wanted to point out to you that a lot of those things we've already talked about is because of what happened this year. So just to back it up one slide, for each of the locations, instead of doing a detailed breakout by DESE category, I just developed the same DESE chart by DAC to kind of summarize where all the money's going to just try to make the presentation flow a little quicker. So for the Bucher Elementary School, I am anticipating that we are going to end in a deficit of about $85,000. As I mentioned, the biggest thing is the additional ESL teacher. In addition to that, the items I mentioned before is the new ESP contract. But what's offsetting a lot of that is our vacant positions, our vacant lunch monitors. There was the vacant night custodian position here for over 3 months. And there's the turnover from our instructional coach. So all these items that we kind of talked about again are showing up in the Bucher DAC. For the Cutler Elementary School, I am anticipating that we'll have about $151,000 left over. The main budget drivers here is the fact that at Cutler Elementary School, we did trade in 1 teacher for additional ESPs. And in addition, we sent those ESPs to the Winthrop School along with the entire program. So as a result, we're going to have additional money left over at Cutler because it all got moved to Winthrop. Excuse me. In addition, we are seeing a balance left over of just about $19,000 for the 0.6 FTE library ESP that we did not hire because we requested from you earlier in September to hire a 1.0 teacher instead. So you're seeing the savings from our ESP, but in the opposite, you're seeing the cost of the teacher exceed the cost of that ESP. Again, all things that we kind of went through during the 25 budget cycle. For the Winthrop Elementary School, I'm anticipating about a $104,000 residual balance at the end of the year. The biggest bulk of this is our vacant SLP teaching position. That combined with 2 teacher turnovers, we're seeing savings of almost $107,000, which is where a lot of Winthrop Schools' residual balance comes from. That SLP position has been vacant for the 2nd year in a row. It has been very difficult to fill all of our SLP positions, and across the district, we really just have not been able to fill that last position, and a lot of it is being contracted out. When we contract out the work, it falls to the Student Services DAC. As a result, there's savings or money left over in the Winthrop School. In addition, some items that are being offset is that additional preschool teacher that we requested during the beginning of this school year, as well as the 3 new ESPs for that new, 3 new preschool ESPs for those new preschool classrooms. At the Miles River Middle School, we're seeing a small residual balance of about $19,000. The main cause of this comes from 2 different areas. It's the salary scale advancement that did not occur and the reduction of the utilization of our Teaching 6 class stipend. This year, we were able to fill a lot of those gaps in the schedule without having to hire a teacher for that additional 6th class. That is being offset by the increase in our 0.25 ESL teacher position, as well as an increase in our utility costs at the middle school. For here, I combined both the high school and the athletics department for a combined total of about $90,000 left over at the end of the year. We saw a lot of savings this year from staff turnover at the high school. 3 positions alone, we were able to hire at a reduced salary, which resulted in a $67,000 savings. Some of that, again, is the same thing being offset just like we saw at the middle school, the other half of that ESL teacher position, and again, an increase in our utility costs. For the central office DAC, we are seeing a pretty substantial balance of $405,000. The main reason for this, though, is that switch in positions, again, that I mentioned from the central office DAC to the Bucher DAC. That ESL position was originally budgeted in the central office, but it wasn't spent there. It was spent at Bucher, resulting in a deficit over there and a positive balance in the central office DAC. In addition, like I had mentioned before, we are seeing savings from our transportation contract. That really comes from 3 different things. The first thing is we no longer have our homeless and foster care students that we're transporting, so we're seeing savings there. We're also receiving a little more reimbursement from the state. And then last, we received a substantial credit from Salter because of the lack of buses that they did not provide. So every day they're supposed to provide roughly 14 buses. If for whatever reason they don't have a bus driver that day or the bus breaks down, it results in a credit because they did not send us 14 buses. They only sent us 13. So there's a little bit of savings from that one day with no bus. We go after them, or I should say Jen Caulfield goes after them for every one of those buses missed. So we are seeing savings there as well, which goes against the full cost of our transportation. Next, for the central office staff, we're seeing a pretty substantial savings from my office alone and all the turnover and vacant positions. My administrative assistant position has been vacant all year and most likely will remain vacant for at least another month or two. That's resulted in $56,000 in savings. In addition, I had turnover in my accountant's position. It was vacant for, I believe, 3 or 4 months. Resulted in another $32,000 in savings. And then again, we had our HR go out on leave, and it created a vacancy for 2 months. So just from these 3 positions, from the business office alone, it saved about $100,000, but cost me probably 100,000 pieces of hair on my head, because it was constantly filling in for somebody's position for whatever reason it was. In addition, some of the things that might offset that, we are seeing an uptick in our legal costs. We are utilizing our attorney a little bit more this year because we are in negotiations with every single union, so that cost is increasing a little bit. In addition, I am estimating that we are going to end the year in a deficit when it comes to our long-term and short-term substitutes. Ever since COVID, I've kind of noticed an uptick in sick day usage, and as a result, it's costing us a little bit more every single year for the substitutes. Next up is our maintenance stack. I just want to point out that this isn't the maintenance cost alone. Every single school has a section of its budget that's dedicated to maintenance. This is just the district-wide maintenance that isn't tagged to an individual school. Right here, we're seeing just a little bit of a residual balance at year end of around $6,000. There really is only 2 kind of big items that stood out to me. It's the fact that they also had a vacancy during the year with their maintenance technician position being vacant for about 4 months, I believe. And the exact opposite, because they have these vacancies, we need more people to fill in that position, so they get paid overtime for it. So they get paid at time and a half to come fill in for these vacant positions. So at the same time, we are seeing an overage in our custodian overtime. Moving on is our benefits and fixed charges, where I'm estimating we will end the year with approximately $392,000. Again, the biggest thing here is the health insurance, as I had mentioned, that lower utilization and the lower enrollment, as well as the savings from negotiating a lower health insurance premium. In addition, we do have a crossing guard vacancy, which has resulted in about an $11,000 savings, but we also are seeing an uptick in the health insurance deductible reimbursement costs. So one of the items we have negotiated with our unions is that the district will reimburse them for the first half of their health insurance deductible. This year, we've seen a much higher uptick of that cost being incurred, and right now it's estimated that we are going to exceed that by roughly $25,000. The next one is our capital acquisition and improvements and replacement of fixed assets. Right here, I'm just really giving you an update on the 3 items. Included in this DESI category was the $1.7 million transfer for the capital stabilization, $275,000 for smart boards, and $300,000 for the high school theater lighting upgrades. In terms of the capital stabilization, the transfer has been made. We opened up a separate fund in our accounting system and opened up a separate high-yielding bank account. That money was moved, I believe, in either August or September. So far through January, we've earned $28,000 in interest on the $1.7 million. Both of those get combined together for our total stabilization balance at the end of the year. The smart boards have all been ordered. The purchase order has been made and encumbered, and we are lining it up for the replacement to get to start in January in June, as soon as the kids are out of the classrooms and we can get into it and start drilling into the walls. Last but not least is the high school theater lighting upgrade project. I did run into a little hiccups with this during the beginning of the year, and the bid did go out a little later than I wanted to. So right now, I issued the bid. We received 2 bids back. I went with the lowest bidder. Right now, the total cost came in at roughly $240,000. So there is about $56,000 left over right now. However, that is not included in this projection, because one thing I've realized is, especially with electrical work in our schools, sorry, there's bugs flying in my face, especially with electrical work in our schools, as soon as they start pulling wires and opening walls, they find something else and they issue change orders. So right now, I'm just playing it safe and reserving that 56 in anticipation that they're going to find something in the 50-plus-year-old theater up at the high school. Next up is our special education DAC, where I'm anticipating a balance of approximately $422,000. Just like I had mentioned before, it is $186 for our out-of-district tuition and $153 for our out-of-district transportation. In addition to the 2 out-of-district items, we are seeing a lower usage rate in our tutoring services. And in addition, the Student Service Department also has a vacancy within the Administrative Assistant Office. That has been vacant all year, and so far I'm anticipating saving approximately $32,000. Last but not least is our technology DAC, where currently I am anticipating a very large deficit. This also ties into the budget transfer that we're going to ask you for in the next couple slides. We are, again, as I explained with our health insurance, we know we over budget in health insurance and under budget in technology. So right now we're requesting to use some of those funds to get ahead of the life cycle replacement and order the iPads for our 7th graders and the Chromebooks for our 6th graders, which we'll get in this year, get them all programmed through technology and get them ready for deployment in July. In addition, we're asking to replace 53 laptops for all the teachers in the middle school. And then last, give each of our 3 elementary schools 1 iPad cart, which comes with 30 iPads each. So that would be 30 new iPads for each of the 3 elementary schools. These 4 items are the normal life cycle replacement that we do every year. So what offsets that is the same thing I'm asking for you now, we asked for you last year. We asked for money last year to help pay for these things this year. So we're doing it again this year, just a little bit larger than what we did last year. Last year, it was about $43,000. Okay, so just to bring it all back together, taking all these things into consideration, again, I'm estimating that we're going to end with approximately $1.3 million. One thing I did want to point out is this assumes that we are going to prepay out-of-district tuitions again. So that $1.3 million you see assumes that we prepay out-of-district tuitions. If we do not, that number will shoot to more like $2.3 million, because last year we prepaid about $1 million for this year's budget cycle. So I do have the prepay motion, but I can stop and take any questions if anyone has them.
Anybody have questions? Jen?
Like 5 or 6?
Jen has 5 or 6 questions.
Okay.
Okay, let's start on page 9.
All right, can I see pages here? Yep. This one?
Yeah.
Yep.
Why are we short $13,411 in IDEA grant offsets?
Because
Aren't grants supposed to be pretty predictable?
Yes, but they do fluctuate every year. The dollar value that we get changes every year. And sometimes we'll put it towards salaries, sometimes we'll put it towards contracted services. So it does fluctuate a little bit year over year.
So that grant isn't like an NSF or an NIH grant where you get like
The exact dollar every year, it does not.
Yeah.
If it changes every single year. Every single one of our grants change in value every single year. I can't recall one grant that is the exact dollar amount year over year. It all depends on your student enrollment, your special education population. So some things even come in on how many low-income students might reside in one school over the other. So it does change every year.
Okay, page 15.
It's quicker if I just do this.
This is what happens when I don't have time to.
No, ask away. That's what I'm here for.
That $15,000 for teaching sixth class stipends, can you just explain what that is?
Yep, so every teacher, correct me if I'm wrong here, Eric, teaches 5 classes.
Yep.
And sometimes the way the schedule lands, we might have one class that falls out of somebody's schedule. So there is a stipend in the teacher's contract that says we will pay you X dollars if you pick up this 6th class. So we almost remove your prep time,
Correct.
and we pay you for it, which is called the 6th class stipend. The high school and middle school historically use it year over year. This year, I'm not sure exactly what the middle school did, but the way their schedule landed, they didn't need to utilize it as much.
Yeah, it generally ends up the singleton classes, like it's one of those singleton classes, like we have just enough kids to run it, but it doesn't quite fit in the schedule configuration. If somebody is willing to do it, it's actually fairly short money to have
Yeah,
another course
No,
run.
I don't remember seeing that at that level before.
Yeah.
So, page 16.
Yep.
This is high school athletics.
It's combined, I combined DACs this time. I
Okay.
historically
so
don't
is
do that, but I did
not
here.
Athletics by itself. It's
Correct.
The high school plus
It
the
is,
athletics.
it is combined. The only reason I did that is because athletics, I was projecting to end the year at about 4,000. I just thought it was more time and more slides, and I put them together.
But that still is a 7.5% increase in the teachers category over what we budgeted. It's like almost $300,000. Where's that?
Say that again, sorry.
We have an amended third line down, teachers. We
Yep.
budgeted 3,979,
Yep.
or 3,979,000. We've spent.
That's school choice. So school choice is an offset. This presented here is after offsets. So,
Thank you.
yep.
Page 18? I don't know if you fixed this. The middle category, the year-to-date administration, you have.
I got way too many decimals there.
That's a quick and
Yep.
easy fix.
That's Vinny's salary.
There we go. 95 cents. For healthcare deductibles, you say that we pay half of our teacher's deductible.
Correct. So
Right, so I don't know what the deductible is. but say it's
$1,000 for a family,
$1,000,
yep.
we would pay 500.
correct. The first 500.
First 500, yeah.
Right. At what point in time is it going to be cheaper to just pay for a $500 deductible instead of paying an additional 500 per teacher?
When the health insurance deductible reaches about 115,000. Right now, I believe we're at 75,000. So once it hits there, it means the majority of our people are utilizing it, and we should then consider to
Just dropping the
switch.
deductible.
Correct. We are not quite there yet, and that fluctuates every year. Next year, maybe people don't utilize it as much, but that's about the threshold, is around 110, 115, something like that.
Okay, and my last question, thank you everybody for being patient with me, is on page 27 and 28.
Yep.
So, the money for the iPads, the Chromebooks, the laptops, and the normal iPads.
Yep.
It's about $200,000.
Correct.
how come if we're doing this on a yearly basis, we aren't just putting it in the budget to begin with?
It really all started with COVID and the need for all the additional iPads and one-to-one. If you count back about 4 years, that's when COVID hit. So right now we are losing devices by the masses because they have about a 4 to 5 year life cycle. So right now they're kind of dying on the technology department at a much higher rate. So one thing I've asked Alan to do is try to map out a way out of that, and that is to slowly kind of disperse those extra iPads we bought 4 years ago over the next 4 years, but at the same time, we have to deal with the ones that continue to die.
Okay.
So this does give him a bigger pool of kind of extra ones for when a student comes in with a broken device, because right now I think he only has about 5 to 10 iPads to deploy if some start breaking. This will kind of give him that extra cushion for if more start going down over the next few months.
And my other question related to this is, I think it was Alan who had talked about putting together a technology plan.
Yeah, that's due at the end of, it'll come, we'll see it in June. He's actually working on it.
Okay, do we really want to spend $200,000 until we have that plan in place?
Yes, only because we're really looking at now and not next year. If this was planning for next year, I think it would be something you could say, yeah, let's put it off for until next year, but these are current replacements.
Right,
for
but
this
I
school year.
thought we were buying the iPads and the Chromebooks not for this year, because our 6th and 7th graders already have those, but for next year.
Right.
But if he comes up with a technology plan that comes out in June, and that technology plan says, oh, we don't want to use Chromebooks at all,
That wouldn't be implemented till next fiscal cycle
We go
anyway.
FY26.
okay, so his technology plan is not for.
Yeah, if it's coming
Yeah.
out in June, we haven't budgeted for it.
We would,
So it'd
we
come
wouldn't
out next
budget to
budget
until the
season.
fall, so we would get the plan, then build the budget, and then it would be FY26. But the replacement ones, not necessarily the Chromebooks and the iPads, the other replacements are needed now.
Yeah, the replacements I get. It was the new ones for next year that I was like, maybe
Yeah,
we should
have
hold
one more
off
year.
a bit.
One more year before we actually put the plan in place. So he'll come to us in June with the final tech plan. And he's looking at really talking with kids and teachers about what makes sense now so that he can build that in. And then in the fall, when we do the budgeting process, we'll use that as the baseline. I mean, those are a lot of the missing pieces we've been able to put together with a strategic plan to be able to say, okay, we now have these documents that we can go to and say, how do we plan for the future?
Even if there is a little bit of redundancy and overlap, there'll be places to are you thinking that they're probably going to suggest moving up to a MacBook at the high school level?
Or,
There'll still be
or
places.
eliminating the Chromebooks in their entirety, because
Right,
they
but I
last
mean, you
2
could then,
years
you
if we're
could then
lucky.
shift down with the, with the iPads. Sorry, just totally had a blank there.
Well, I mean, this doesn't take into account the high school at all. So that if it took into account the high school, I would definitely ask to wait until we have our technology plan. My concern is that we buy all these Chromebooks to be used next year, and they're only used for a year.
Like I said, there'll be places to utilize them, even if there is some redundancy.
Okay.
A lot of the ones that get returned too after the use gets pushed down to the elementary schools. Because we're one-to-one, basically middle school and up, not so much at the elementary.
Yeah.
So a lot of them will get pushed down to the elementary schools.
Okay.
Yeah, the Chromebooks are the problem. I mean, that's one of the things we've learned. That 3 years maybe.
If you're lucky.
Maybe, depending on the kid who has it.
Yeah.
So it's really,
Yeah, I don't mind the iPads. It's,
Yeah. Durability is not the Chromebook's best feature.
All right. Any other questions?
You don't have any more, Jen?
Come on, just one more.
You explain everything.
So there's a few motions in here.
I'm out of here.
Okay, want me to take it?
No, do it.
Oh, you said you
Needs
were
a little
out of
water.
here, so I thought you were leaving.
He's gotta go now.
Hamilton Wenham Regional School Committee authorizes the Assistant Superintendent of Finance and Administration to prepay FY25 out-of-district tuitions with FY24 funds not to exceed the amounts established by MGL Chapters 40, subsection 4E, and Chapter 71, subsection 71D.
Second.
John with the second. Any other discussion? Nope. All in favor? And that's unanimous of the 6 members present, and that item passes.
Yep.
And looks like there's one more.
Yep, the next thing up is our transfer request and kind of the plan for the next few months. So right now, there is that request that we just talked about for all of the iPads, Chromebooks, and teacher laptops. In addition to that, as I mentioned in the first few slides, our operations and maintenance DAC is anticipated to run a deficit of $61,494 by the end of the year. So currently, we're asking for that transfer to bail out the operations and maintenance and get it back to zero, back in the black. But that just gets us to the black. If anything happens between now and then, we really don't have any money to react to it. In addition to that, there are a few capital items and facility upgrades that we would like to make. I do have a list of them and a little breakout that I plan on bringing to the capital planning finance subcommittee on Monday, I believe, for them to go through the projects and kind of rank order what we think might be our first one if this transfer is approved, and if we can actually carry out the project before June 30th. So in addition to that 61,000, we are requesting 250,000 in addition be transferred to the operations and maintenance for those two things, to be able to react if anything breaks between now and the end of June, and to help fund some capital needs across the district. So I can go to the motion for that one.
Excuse me. The Hamilton Wenham Regional School Committee approves the FY24 operating expense budget transfers as recommended herein by the Assistant Superintendent of Finance Administration and as presented to, on the previous slide entitled Transfer Requests Q2.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Julia. Any further discussion?
Question, Vinnie, what capital items do you have in mind?
The biggest one to me is the middle school windows, because that is very easy for us to deploy at the moment. The other ones are asbestos abatement is the next biggest one I'd like to do.
Would that be all of the asbestos across all the schools?
No, not across all the schools. That would be more than the money I asked to transfer. The main focus is here at the Bucher School. Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, all in favor? And that passes, motion passes unanimously of the 6 members present.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Vinnie.
Thanks, Vinnie.
All right. Next up are committee reports. First is Capital Financial Planning Subcommittee.
So we're meeting on Monday. We have, I didn't count them, but minutes, lots and lots of
Lots
minutes
of minutes.
Minute
to
party.
approve.
Oh, I didn't even.
Hours of minutes.
That's okay.
So,
Glad you didn't.
Wasn't even thinking. You guys are off the hook tonight. I forgot my computer.
Oh, okay.
so that's, and we'll talk about Vinnie's capital projects.
I can
about
I'll
one
email my list to everybody though, just to.
time. I have it.
All right.
You sent it to me.
So it's, I mean, I'm the secretary. I'm the one on the hook for all these minutes.
Oh, you're,
Because I'm the
Well,
secretary
but some of
of
them are
both the
from
committees.
well before you or I were on the committee.
Yes, and I'm still trying to figure that out, but yeah.
Yeah, and those, I'm not sure there's much we can do about.
okay.
It's okay.
How about Policy Subcommittee?
There hasn't been a meeting in between, since the last meeting. And
Okay.
We have a resolution to bring before the committee that was a result of that, but not at this meeting.
Not at this meeting?
It'll get
Okay.
noticed.
And And then the negotiations subcommittee?
The first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna recommend that we actually utilize the executive session tonight, just to update you guys on the office personnel contract. These guys actually refer to me as the optimistic one. I actually do think we're very close to a TA, but, excuse me, I just wanna keep you guys informed of what's going on. Also, March 25th is gonna be the first day we're meeting with, to begin the teachers' negotiations, so there is a chance that we will have 2 open negotiations at the same time. And actually, possibly even more, if you guys approve this next thing I'm gonna suggest. We actually have been asked to open negotiations with the custodial contract, and it is our recommendation, and hopefully you guys will vote to approve, that we have Eric and Vinny actually take care of that. They're able to meet during the day. It just takes some of this, just some of the meetings off of mine and Dana's plate and whatnot. It would really help to sort of expedite this process. So we think that this is a good idea, and we recommend it. Eric, are you guys willing to pick up the other contract as well, or just this for right now?
AFSCME and the new,
Yeah.
the new cafeteria? Yeah,
Okay.
we'll probably do them together.
Okay, so that would include the new cafeteria workers contract as well. Anyone have any questions on that? Like we said, it seems like this one would be pretty straightforward, so it would be a huge help. So then I guess I'll just make up the Hamilton Wenham Regional School District, grant Eric and Vinny the capacity to negotiate on our behalf with the custodial and cafeteria worker unions.
Is there a
Second.
Second by Jen. Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor? And that passes unanimously of the 6 members
And I
present.
do have one last thing that I just want to plant a bug in your ear. It would be really helpful if we actually had a 3rd member on the negotiations subcommittee. Right now, we're trying to stay with sort of it's like every other Monday afternoon, about 3:30, 4-ish, we meet for a couple of hours. It would just really help. You know, there've been times that like I got stuck at work, and so I'm like late, and when it's only Dana and I, it's tough because we can't do anything until the other one's in the room, so having a 3rd person would really help. I'm not asking for anyone to sort of volunteer now, sort of see your schedule. You can talk to myself, Dana, or Eric, and, you know, try and get a better date, idea when the dates are or whatever, if you're interested. You know, we're going into this. You know, it's hard work, but it's good work, and you know, I'm always cautiously optimistic going through all of this. That, you know, it is tough sometimes, but it's really important work, and I enjoy doing it very well, even though Monday afternoons sometimes I come in grumbling. But you know, like I said, it is really important work, and I am always optimistic because I care very much about making sure we take care of, you know, all the members of, you know, our district. Excuse me, everyone that's working for us. So please keep that in mind.
Okay. Yeah, should I put that as a topic for future meeting?
So, yeah, maybe.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I think so, because we'd have to vote.
Yep.
Yep. Okay. Superintendent's report.
Alrighty, got lots of stuff happening now.
Cool.
Kind of in that transition period, so things are ending and things are starting. Currently, we have our 6 students moving forward in the History Fair State Competition, which will be at Winchester High School on April 6th. During that previous process to that, 2 students received honorable mentions for their projects. Always fascinating. If you've not ever been involved or seen it, take the time to do it. It is an educational experience. High school spring athletics will kick off on March 18th. I can't believe it. We're kind of like, where'd the winter sporting season go? But they'll be kicking off very soon. And currently, right at this moment, there are 109 students at the Deck Estates, and we wish them all the best of luck. Most recently, in the end of our winter seasons, the girls' basketball unfortunately lost to the number 3 South Hadley High School on the Sweet 16 Division IV MIA state tournament. This is the girls' basketball team's 4th straight state tournament appearance, as well as their 2nd Sweet 16 berth in 3 years. So congratulations to the girls for another great season. Boys' basketball fell to David Prouty High School last week also on the road in Division IV MIA state tournament. They conclude their season by having made it back to the state tournament. They haven't been there since 2020, so congratulations to the boys. Cheerleading competed in the MSAA North Regional Championships last week in Billerica High School this past weekend. They finished 3rd in the Division IV, which is great because for several years previous to this, we have not had a cheerleading squad. Unfortunately, they didn't advance, but they qualified for regionals this year for the first time since 2015. Little quick update on the Cutler principal process. We are moving forward. We have two final candidates that we'll be interviewing next Monday and Tuesday. And that'll be a process that will start around noontime and go through at 6 at night, where they'll meet the leadership team, get towards some classroom walkthroughs, tour the building, meeting with the staff, faculty, and then meeting with the parents later in the evening of the Cutler School. So that's exciting. And then we have posted today and are actively looking for a new director of facilities maintenance and operations. That position has been posted. So if you know anybody, send them our way. We're looking for somebody to start fairly quickly to help take one position off of Vinny and I's plate. So I think that's everything.
Have you got the job description? You said you were going to get the job description.
Yep.
Refined.
You want me to send it to you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I will. Yep.
Sure.
Is it thorough?
It's 3 pages long.
All right, that's the way they should all be.
Okay, thank you. Next is the chair's report. You might notice I'm not the normal chair, and I appreciate everybody's patience with my little script. I don't really have anything to report. Topics for future meetings. I have written down voting on a 3rd member for the negotiation subcommittee. Anything else for future meetings? Yes, John.
So it's come to my attention that some of our friends of groups at the schools just have very little participation, and there is a good likelihood that some may not continue to exist. And the reason that I think that's important is that some of them raise funds and distribute money and serve. And so I think that I don't know what this group's role would have in that, but I do think that knowing that that support that has been historically in place might not be there moving forward for certain events is probably something to talk about.
Okay, thank you.
I think we have liaisons to each friends group.
We do, so maybe it's time to
That'd be a
reach
good place
out.
to start.
So we could maybe convene all the liaisons and think about marketing strategies or how we can best encourage participation, because, yeah, I agree. It's pretty dire.
I was gonna say, in years past, this is sort of the time of year when we really sort of started pushing out when we've had, with town meeting coming up.
Yes.
Usually pushing out to the friends groups and different groups around town, just meeting up, trying to hit one of their meetings or whatnot, and just sort of going over the budget real quick with them and answering any questions. So every year about this time, things do pick up because it always seems to have fallen off somewhere along the line. So, but that's a good reminder that we should get back into that.
Thank you. All right, any other topics for future meetings? Okay. I am going now to move to adjourn to executive session for purpose number 3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining with office personnel union if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body, and the chair so declares, to not return to open session.
Second?
Is this a roll call vote?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
We'll take a roll call vote. Jen?
Yes.
Trent?
Yes.
Amy's a yes.
Yes.
Julia?
Yes.
Thank you.